Hello NFI, it is Thursday the 20th of August 2020. Video games. So recently there's been a discussion about whether video games are too long, and I think the correct answer to that is yeah, they're probably too long for me, but you know, not everything has to be for me, and that's okay. So whatever. There are plenty of short games out there, and if you like short games, I would recommend the channel First 5, which reviews short games or games as to whether they're good if you can only play them for a short while. Links in the description. But a lot of time when people talk about short games, people bring up the dollars to hour ratio, which is basically how many dollars you spend for how many hours you get out of the game. So I guess if you divide the dollars by the hours in a game, you want to get a number that is as small as possible. And that's often not the case with very short games. However, I think that equation should be slightly different. I think it should be dollars divided by hours in game plus hours out of game. So for example, how much time you keep thinking about the game, how much time you keep talking about the game, how much time you keep making fan art of the game, or you know, whatever else. Because there can be very short games and they inspire you to, you know, still spend a lot of time with them out of game. I guess the most overdone example of that is Portal. It took me 3 hours to play through it. But if you look online, the internet is full of fan art and people talking about it, and it's become a massive part of, I guess, online culture and pop culture in general. And I know that when I played it, I was literally kept awake by thinking about the puzzles. Another one for me is the channel has Trilogy. When I scrolled through my library and I saw I had 3.5 hours logged, I was like, that can't be. I must have spent more time with that game because it feels like I have. But I know it's a super short game. And that 3.5 hours includes a replay, even though the game is basically not replayable. It's a linear story, and once you've play through it, you know the story and you know the puzzles, and why would you replay it? But I did because I loved the world and, you know, the characters and everything. But I also must have spent a lot more time thinking about it because it feels like I know it so much better than just 3 hours. Meanwhile, there are other games that I have much more hours in, and I'm like, oh yeah, I've spent 40 hours with that game? Really? I barely remember anything. And that's obviously not to say that only short games can have that effect. I mean, my most played game is Skyrim, and I certainly spent a lot of time thinking about Skyrim outside of playing Skyrim. But I feel like it's something that I would want to include into evaluating whether a game has been worth the amount of money I paid. Now, the only problem with that is that you don't know whether you like a game until after you've played it, and the dollars to hour ratio is probably kind of thought up to help you decide whether you want to, you know, buy the game in the first place. So yeah, but yeah, that's something I always think about when someone brings up dollars to hour ratio. I'll link some videos by other people who also thought about this general subject in other ways. And why don't you tell me about games that inspired you a lot in one way or the other? I'd be quite curious about that. And Brendan, we'll see you tomorrow. Bye!